Welcome back to the deep dive. We've talked about beta blockers a bit before, and I have to say, they really make you think. They're so effective for heart failure, but could make chronotropic incompetence worse.
It's true, they are kind of a balancing act. It is why we need to really understand them.
Yeah. Beta blockers are used so much in cardiology, but they are definitely complicated.
For sure.
For anyone listening who might not know about them, how would you explain what they do?
Well, think about it like this. Our bodies have this natural response to stress, like fight or flight.
Right.
Your blood pressure and heart rate go up, getting you ready to go. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are the hormones that make this happen. They attach to receptors in your blood vessels and heart.
Okay.
So beta blockers block those receptors, stopping adrenaline and noradrenaline from working as well.
Oh, so it's like they're putting on the brakes for your heart and circulatory system.
Exactly. Slowing down the heart rate, lowering blood pressure, and making those heart contractions less forceful.
Got it. And that obviously helps when the heart's already overworked, like in heart failure.
Right. In heart failure, the heart muscle can't pump blood as well, and that actually triggers that fight or flight response, which makes things worse, puts even more strain on the heart.
A vicious cycle.
Yeah. Beta blockers break the cycle, calming things down and letting the heart work better. So you see improvement in symptoms and fewer hospitalizations, and it can actually help people live longer with both HFrEF and HFpEF, those main types of heart failure.
That's amazing. I know you mentioned before that beta blockers aren't one size fits all. Are there different types?
Yeah, there are a few different types. Each one is unique, used for different things.
What are the types?
So you've got non-selective and cardioselective.
Okay, so what's the difference?
Non-selective beta blockers, like propranolol, they block both beta-1 and beta-2 receptors. Those receptors are all over the body. Beta-1 are mostly in the heart, and beta-2 are in the lungs, blood vessels, and other organs.
So blocking both means a bigger effect then?
Exactly, and that can be good in some cases, but it can also mean more side effects, especially for people with certain conditions.
Right, that makes sense. What about those cardioselective ones?
Well, like metoprolol and bisoprolol, they're more focused.
Yeah.
Mainly block beta-1 receptors, so they mostly affect blood pressure and heart rate.
So more of a precision tool for the heart.
Yep. They have less effect on beta-2 receptors, so they are less likely to cause certain side effects like breathing problems for people with asthma.
Got it. So how do doctors know which beta blocker to use?
Depends on the patient, what they need, what condition are we treating, what other health problems do they have, how well do they tolerate side effects, all these things matter.
So finding the right tool for the job.
Exactly. Then you have carvedilol, a really interesting one. It actually blocks both beta receptors and alpha receptors.
What are alpha receptors and why does that matter?
Alpha receptors are in the blood vessels, and blocking them relaxes and widens those blood vessels. That's called vasodilation. So it's got that effect, and its beta blocking effect makes carvedilol great for treating high blood pressure and heart failure.
So it's like a double whammy, lowering blood pressure in two ways.
Exactly. It can be really helpful for some patients, those who haven't responded to other medications.
Wow. Even in this one group of medications, there's so much variety.
Definitely. It's what makes them so interesting and so useful, but, you need to use them carefully, knowing what they can do.
I know you said beta blockers help with a bunch of conditions, not just heart failure, right?
Oh, yeah. They've been effective in treating things like angina, all sorts of arrhythmias, high blood pressure, even neurological conditions like essential tremor.
That's pretty impressive. How do they work for those other conditions?
Well, take angina, for example. Beta blockers help reduce how hard the heart has to work, so the heart muscle needs less oxygen.
Less strain on the heart.
Right, and in arrhythmias, where the heart rhythm is irregular, they help slow down the heart rate and regulate that rhythm, so you can prevent some dangerous problems.
All about balance.
Exactly. Even in those neurological conditions like essential tremor, where the cause is different from heart issues, beta blockers can really help reduce tremors and improve quality of life.
Wow, they're like the Swiss Army knife of medications.
They are pretty versatile. But as with anything powerful, you have to be cautious, know when you should avoid them.
Like when?
One is pre-excited atrial fibrillation, also called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. It's an extra electrical pathway in the heart, and beta blockers actually worsen the arrhythmia.
That's scary. Any other situations where you just wouldn't use them?
Yeah, another is severe asthma. Remember those beta-2 receptors? Blocking them in the lungs can cause bronchospasm, which is really dangerous for someone with severe asthma.
Yeah.
Even with the cardioselective ones, you have to be super careful with these patients.
Right, so those are definite no-nos. Are there any other situations where you would have to be extra careful with beta blockers?
Yeah, some relative cautions. For instance, if someone has chronotropic incompetence, where their heart rate doesn't increase properly during exercise, beta blockers could make that worse.
Right, because they slow down the heart rate.
Exactly. Shows you why you need to really understand each patient's situation before you prescribe these.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, for people with brittle insulin-dependent diabetes, you have to be careful because beta blockers can mask the symptoms of low blood sugar, so hypoglycemia becomes harder to manage.
I see. So it's about that communication between doctors and patients, making sure the benefits are bigger than the risks.
Definitely. That leads to another important thing with beta blockers. Getting the right dose.
Yeah, you don't want to slow the heart down too much, but you also want the medication to work.
That's right. Finding the right balance. So it's managing the problem, but not stopping the heart from doing what it's supposed to.
So how do they find that right dose?
Careful monitoring. Start with a low dose and go up slowly until it works.
And what are they watching for?
Heart rate, blood pressure, symptoms, also side effects.
So finding that dose, it's a delicate process.
It can be. But we have tools and strategies to help us do that to make sure the patient gets the best results.
Speaking of tools, I'm really curious about that AI-guided home monitoring app we've been hearing about, how it could change how we manage beta blockers.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It could really change things, make care much more personalized.
Can you explain how it would work?
Well, imagine sensors at home, keeping track of your vital signs, heart rate, blood pressure, and sending that data to an app.
It's like having a cardiologist right there with you.
Kind of. So say your blood pressure goes up a bit because you're stressed or your diet changed. The app, with its AI, can see that change.
Okay, but what happens then? Does it just say, hey, your blood pressure is high?
It could do that, give you early warnings, but it's more than that. It could send the info straight to your doctor's office, flag anything that looks concerning.
So your doctor knows what's going on without you having to go in.
Exactly. Your doctor sees this data and can make decisions about your treatment.
So it could help with finding that right beta blocker dose too, right?
Absolutely. It can actually suggest dose changes to your doctor, keeping you in that optimal range.
It's like having an AI assistant helping your doctor figure out the best treatment for you in real time.
You got it. But of course, this would all be under your doctor's supervision. They'd make the final call.
That makes sense. But it all sounds almost too good to be true. What needs to happen for this kind of app to become a real thing?
Well, data security and privacy are really important. All that health information has to be protected.
Yeah, people have to know their information is safe. What else?
The sensors need to be accurate, the algorithms have to be strong, and the whole system needs to be tested thoroughly.
Right, it has to work in the real world.
Right, and then there's the human side of it. Doctors need to be comfortable using it, and patients need to understand what it can and cannot do.
Finding that balance between technology and human expertise.
Exactly. This app wouldn't replace doctors. It would give them better tools to help their patients.
That's a good point. I like that.
And if we get it right, it could help so many people, managing conditions like those treated with beta blockers, getting better outcomes and having better lives.
It's an inspiring thought. We're on the edge of a big change in healthcare, with technology playing a bigger and bigger role.
I agree. And it's not just beta blockers, it's about how we manage all sorts of health problems, using data and personalized care.
Moving away from that one-size-fits-all way of doing things.
Exactly. And speaking of personalized care, we haven't really talked about lifestyle changes, how important those are for managing chronic conditions, especially the ones often treated with beta blockers.
Yeah, it's not all about medication. There's so much we can do to help ourselves.
Absolutely. Medications like beta blockers are powerful, but they work best when you're taking care of yourself, making healthy choices.
So what kind of things should people focus on?
The basics. A good balanced diet. Lots of fruits, vegetables, lean protein, and whole grains. Not so much processed food, sugary drinks, or unhealthy fats.
Giving your body the right fuel.
Exactly. And of course, exercise. Moving your body strengthens your heart, gets your blood flowing better, helps control your blood sugar, and even reduces stress.
Even something small, like taking the stairs or walking, can make a difference.
It all adds up. And then there's keeping a healthy weight.
Like we said before, extra weight makes the heart work harder, and the medication might not work as well.
Right, and it's not just about beta blockers. Being overweight increases your risk for all sorts of problems, like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and even some cancers.
Putting extra stress on your whole system.
That's it. And we can't forget about smoking.
It seems obvious, but smoking is really bad for your health, especially if you're taking beta blockers.
Absolutely. Smoking damages your blood vessels, raises your blood pressure, and increases the risk of blood clots. Really dangerous if you have a heart condition.
So quitting is essential.
For sure. And finally, stress. It has such a big impact on our health.
Right, because it triggers that fight or flight response, and that's what beta blockers are trying to block.
Exactly. If you're stressed all the time, your blood pressure stays high, your heart rate goes up, and all sorts of hormones are released that can harm your heart.
So finding ways to manage stress is really important.
For sure. Things like mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, even spending time in nature, all of these can help reduce stress.
Find what works for you.
Exactly. And sometimes you might need professional help. Talking to a therapist can give you the tools and support you need to manage your stress and feel better mentally.
I think it's so important to remember that. It's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. They go hand in hand.
Yeah, taking a holistic approach, mind and body.
Exactly. When you combine those healthy lifestyle choices with the right medical treatments, like beta blockers if you need them, you can really make a difference in your health.
It's about taking charge of your health, working with your doctor to get the best results.
Couldn't have said it better myself. As we explore this world of personalized healthcare and all this new technology, I think that idea of taking charge of your health will become even more important. It's pretty amazing, right?
Yep.
Beta blockers were designed for the heart, but now they're used for all sorts of things.
Yeah, like a jack of all trades, helping out wherever they're needed. But hey, remember that AI-guided app you were talking about before? The one for managing beta blockers?
Oh yeah, that one.
I'd love to hear more about that. It seems like it has a lot of potential.
Tons of potential. Picture this. You're just going about your day, maybe wearing a smartwatch or something, and it's tracking your heart rate, blood pressure, all that, sends it right to an app.
So you're always aware of what's going on with your heart, even if you don't think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, let's say your blood pressure starts creeping up a little. Maybe you're stressed, maybe your diet's been off. The app uses AI to see that change.
That's wild. So does it just tell you, like, hey, your blood pressure's high?
It could give you a heads up, but it can do more than that. It could send the info to your doctor, let them know if something looks off.
So they're in the loop without you having to call or anything.
Yep. That way, they can step in early if they need to. Your doctor sees all this data and can make smart choices about your treatment.
This is making me think about finding the right dose of beta blockers like we talked about before. Seems like this app could really help with that.
Definitely. It can look at the data using those AI smarts and actually suggest dose changes to your doctor, making sure you're always getting the best dose.
Like your own personal AI assistant, working with your doctor to make sure your treatment is perfect.
Exactly. Of course, your doctor would still be in charge. They make the final decisions.
That makes sense. It all sounds pretty incredible, though. What are some of the challenges, the things that need to happen before we see this app in action?
Well, we have to make sure that data is secure, kept private. All that health information has to be protected.
That's really important. People need to know their information is safe. Anything else?
It has to be accurate, reliable. The sensors have to work right. Those algorithms have to be strong. And the whole system needs to be tested, really put through its paces.
Make sure it actually works out in the real world.
Yeah. And there's a human side of things, too. Doctors need to learn how to use this technology, and patients need to understand what it can do, what it can't do.
It's about making tech and human knowledge work together.
Right. That's it. This app wouldn't be replacing doctors. It would be giving them more information so they can help their patients better.
I like that.
And if we do it right, it could help so many people managing conditions like the ones we treat with beta blockers, getting better results, and living better lives.
It's amazing to think about. It feels like healthcare is changing so fast. Technology is playing such a big part.
It is. And it's not just about beta blockers. It's about everything. Using data, personalizing care, that's the future.
No more one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. And speaking of personalized care, we should talk about lifestyle changes. They're so important for managing these chronic conditions, even if you are taking beta blockers.
Right. It's not all about pills. There's a lot we can do ourselves.
You got it. Beta blockers are great, but they work even better when you're taking care of yourself, making healthy choices.
So what are some of the key things people should focus on?
Start with the basics, eating a balanced diet, lots of fruits and veggies, lean protein, whole grains, less of the processed stuff, sugary drinks, and unhealthy fats.
Giving your body the best fuel.
Exactly. And of course, gotta move your body. Exercise strengthens that heart muscle, helps your circulation, controls blood sugar, and it's great for stress.
Even something small like walking or taking the stairs can make a difference.
Every little bit helps. Then there's maintaining a healthy weight.
We talked about that earlier. Extra weight makes the heart work harder and could make the medication less effective.
That's right, and it's not just beta blockers. Being overweight raises your risk for so many other health problems like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, even certain cancers.
It's like putting this extra burden on your whole body.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, we got to talk about smoking.
It might seem obvious, but smoking is just so bad for you. Even worse if you're taking beta blockers.
Absolutely. Damages your blood vessels, raises blood pressure, increases the risk of blood clots. It's a really bad combination, especially for people with heart problems.
So if you haven't already, quitting smoking is just essential.
Couldn't agree more. And finally, let's not forget about stress. It's a big one.
Right, because stress triggers that fight or flight response, and that's what beta blockers work against.
Exactly. If you're stressed out all the time, your blood pressure and heart rate stay high, your body releases all sorts of hormones that can damage your heart.
So finding healthy ways to manage stress is key.
Absolutely. Things like mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing exercises, spending time in nature, those can all really help.
It's about finding what works for you and making it part of your life.
For sure. And sometimes you might need to talk to a professional, a therapist. They can give you the tools and support to deal with stress and improve your mental health.
It's important to remember that it's okay to ask for help.
Absolutely. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. They go hand in hand.
It's all connected, mind and body.
That's it. When you combine those lifestyle changes with the right medical treatment, like beta blockers when appropriate, it can really make a difference in your health.
So it's about taking control of your health, working with your doctor to find the best solutions for you.
Couldn't have said it better. And as we move into this world of personalized healthcare and all the new technologies, I think that idea of taking control of your health is going to be even more important.
It's wild, right? We started talking about beta blockers and how they work in the heart, and now we're talking about this whole new world of personalized healthcare and all this amazing technology.
That's how these deep dives go. You start digging into one thing, and it opens up all these other paths.
It's true. And I think that's what makes this conversation about beta blockers so interesting. It's not just about the medication itself. It's about how we think about health and how it's all changing so fast.
Yeah, I agree. Thinking about beta blockers, they really show how science and technology are coming together in healthcare.
Absolutely. We've got these medications that we know work, and now we've got these incredible new technologies like those AI-guided apps that could completely change how we use them.
It really feels like a turning point, right? Data and algorithms, personalized insights, it's all becoming part of how we treat people.
And it's not just about making things easier or more convenient. It's about giving patients more control over their health, working with their doctors to get the best results.
Definitely. We're moving away from that old way of doing things where the doctor tells you what to do and moving towards a system where patients are informed, involved, and empowered.
That makes me think about what we talked about earlier, those risks and things you have to be careful about with beta blockers. It's so important for people to understand those risks, to be part of the decision-making.
Absolutely. Informed consent is so important. Patients need to know about potential side effects, drug interactions, any precautions they need to take.
That's why it's so important to have that open communication with your doctor.
It's all about trust and respect, being able to talk openly, ask questions, share concerns, and figure out the best way forward together.
It's a team effort. The patient's the most important member of that team.
Right. And with healthcare getting more complex, with all this new technology, that focus on the patient has to be front and center.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into beta blockers, what are some of the key things you hope our listeners will take away from this?
Well, I hope they've learned about how versatile beta blockers are, how they can be used for so many different conditions, not just heart problems.
It's pretty amazing that one type of medication can help with so many different things.
It is. And just as important, I want people to remember that while they're very helpful, there are risks. They have to be used carefully, thinking about the benefits and the possible side effects.
And that goes back to talking to your doctor, right? Ask questions, talk about your concerns, be involved in your own healthcare.
Exactly. The more you know, the better decisions you can make for yourself.
And lastly, I hope everyone listening is excited about what's coming next in healthcare, all this amazing technology that can personalize treatment plans, monitor your health, and give you more control.
Yeah, there's so much potential. And as we continue to learn more and develop new tools, I think we're going to see even more incredible ways to manage chronic conditions and help people live better lives.
It's a really exciting time for healthcare. There are new discoveries happening all the time.
That's for sure. Stay curious, stay informed, and take an active role in your own health.
Great advice. It's been fantastic talking about beta blockers with you today. I hope everyone listening learned as much as I did.
I enjoyed it too. And until next time, remember that your health is the best investment you can make.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. Join us again next time for another fascinating exploration of the world of health and medicine.